Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's story sounds like something straight out of a spy thriller, but every part of it is rooted in the brutal modern reality of war. It is the story of how Ukraine quietly tracked a mysterious shipment known only by intelligence insiders as the Christmas cargo, followed it step by step across sea routes and supply chains, waited with patience, and then, at the precise moment, sank it all. This is not just a tale of missiles and explosions. It is a story about intelligence, deception, timing, and how one carefully planned operation sent shockwaves through military circles far beyond the battlefield. To understand why this single operation mattered so much, we have to look at what the Christmas cargo was, why it was so important, and how Ukraine managed to turn Russia's holiday supply run into a strategic disaster. Let's break it all down from the beginning. As winter tightened its grip across Eastern Europe, the war entered one of its most dangerous phases. Cold weather changes everything in warfare. Fuel consumption rises. Equipment breaks down more often. Troops need more food, warmer clothing, spare parts, and ammunition just to survive, let alone fight. Winter is when logistics become the true backbone of any army. Russia knew this very well. With front lines stretching hundreds of kilometers and pressure mounting on multiple fronts, Moscow launched a series of urgent resupply efforts. Among them was a particularly sensitive operation scheduled just days before Christmas, hence the internal nickname later uncovered by Ukrainian intelligence, the Christmas cargo. This cargo was not a single ship carrying ordinary supplies. It was a coordinated movement involving sea transport, port transfers, and onward distribution to occupied territories. According to intelligence assessments, the shipment included military equipment, advanced ammunition, fuel reserves, and specialized components meant to stabilize Russian operations. Through the harsh winter months, losing it would not simply be inconvenient, it would be devastating. Ukraine, meanwhile, had been preparing for exactly this kind of opportunity. Over the course of the war, Ukraine transformed itself into one of the most intelligence-driven militaries in the world. Satellite imagery, electronic surveillance, intercepted communications, human intelligence, and data shared by international partners all flowed into a constantly updating battlefield picture. Nothing moved without being watched. Nothing traveled without leaving a digital or physical trace. The first hint of the Christmas cargo did not come from a dramatic spy moment. It came from patterns. Analysts noticed unusual logistical signals. Port activity increased in specific locations. Certain vessels, normally associated with civilian trade, were suddenly flagged for irregular routing. Communications traffic between logistics units spiked, but the messages were unusually brief and coded. Fuel depots near key ports were quietly reinforced. All of these details alone meant little. Together, they painted a clear picture. Something big was moving. Ukrainian intelligence units began to track the operation in layers. Satellite images confirmed the loading of containers under heightened security. Signals intelligence picked up encrypted chatter referencing tight delivery deadlines before the end of December. Human sources suggested that frontline Russian units were expecting holiday reinforcements, a phrase that sounded almost innocent but carried serious implications. The term Christmas cargo was not meant to be poetic. It was practical. The shipment had to arrive before the holidays, before weather conditions worsened, and before Ukrainian strikes could disrupt it. That urgency would become its greatest weakness. Rather than rushing to strike immediately, Ukraine made a calculated decision: observe, verify, and wait. This was one of the most critical choices of the entire operation. In modern warfare, patience can be more lethal than speed. Ukraine understood that hitting too early could mean destroying only part of the shipment or alerting Russian forces to change routes. Hitting too late could allow the cargo to be dispersed and hidden, so Ukrainian planners watched the cargo move. They tracked the vessels as they left port. They monitored escort patterns. They studied air defense coverage and electronic countermeasures protecting the shipment. Every detail was logged. Every deviation from expected routes was analyzed. At the same time, Ukrainian forces prepared their strike options. Naval drones were positioned. Missile units were placed on alert. Intelligence officers rehearsed scenarios again and again, asking the same question: when is the moment when the entire cargo is most vulnerable? That moment came when the shipment converged. At a specific point in its journey, the Christmas cargo was concentrated, loaded, organized, and temporarily exposed. Ships were close together. Defensive coverage overlapped imperfectly. Reaction times would be limited. This was the window Ukraine had been waiting for. What happened next unfolded with ruthless precision. As night fell and winter darkness covered the sea, Ukrainian forces initiated the operation. It did not begin with loud explosions. It began with silence, electronic silence, to be exact. Russian monitoring systems experienced brief disruptions. Communications lagged, confusion set in, then the strike came. Ukrainian naval drones surged toward their targets, low profile and difficult to detect. Missiles followed, launched with coordinates refined down to the meter. The sea, calm moments earlier, erupted into chaos. One vessel was hit first, triggering secondary explosions that confirmed what Ukrainian planners had suspected. This ship was carrying military cargo. Flames spread rapidly, crew members scrambled, distress signals flooded Russian channels. Before any coordinated response could form, additional strikes followed. Another ship was hit, then another. The carefully timed sequence ensured that Russian defenses were overwhelmed, reacting to multiple threats at once. Within minutes, the Christmas cargo was no longer a supply operation. It was a disaster zone. Explosions lit up the horizon. Fires burned uncontrollably. Some vessels began to list, taking on water faster than crews could respond. Others were crippled, left dead in the water, and then, one by one, they sank. The immediate physical destruction was only part of the story. The psychological impact was immense. Russian forces had believed this shipment was protected, secret, and urgent. To see it destroyed so completely and so publicly sent a chilling message. Ukraine was watching everything. As the smoke cleared, Ukrainian intelligence confirmed the outcome. The cargo was lost, not damaged, not delayed, lost. Fuel reserves vanished beneath the waves. Ammunition intended for winter offensives was gone. Specialized equipment that could not be easily replaced was destroyed. The cost, both financially and strategically, was staggering. But the ripple effects did not stop there. On the front lines, Russian units began to feel the consequences almost immediately. Fuel shortages forced reduced vehicle movements. Artillery units rationed ammunition more strictly. Planned operations were postponed or canceled. Troops who had expected winter supplies found themselves improvising. Logistics officers scrambled to explain what had happened. Replacement shipments were discussed, but winter weather, stretched supply lines, and Ukrainian surveillance made quick fixes impossible. Inside Russia's military command structure, questions were asked, hard questions. How had Ukraine known? How had the cargo been tracked? Who had leaked information, or had systems been compromised? Trust, once broken, is difficult to restore. Internationally, the operation drew intense attention. Military analysts described it as a textbook example of modern asymmetric warfare. Ukraine had not matched Russia ship for ship or missile for missile. Instead, it used intelligence superiority, timing, and precision to neutralize a far larger logistical effort. For Ukraine's supporters, the message was encouraging. Aid was being used effectively. Intelligence sharing was paying off. Strategic thinking was evolving. For Russia, the message was deeply uncomfortable. Even routine logistics were no longer safe. Even holiday shipments could become targets. The symbolism of the timing was impossible to ignore. While the world associated Christmas with peace, Ukraine used the moment to deliver a stark reminder: war does not pause for holidays. Supply lines do not get a ceasefire, and mistakes are punished mercilessly. In the days that followed, Russian media downplayed the incident, offering vague statements and limited details. But satellite imagery told a different story. Wreckage remained visible. Burn marks scarred the sea surface. Silence from official channels spoke louder than any admission. Ukraine, meanwhile, said very little. There were no grand announcements, no dramatic celebrations, just quiet confirmation through indirect channels that the operation had succeeded. That restraint was deliberate. In intelligence warfare, saying less often says more. The Christmas cargo operation also highlighted a broader shift in how wars are fought in the 21st century. Battles are no longer only about territory. They are about data, logistics, and anticipation. Destroying supplies before they reach the front can be more decisive than winning a single battle. Ukraine demonstrated that it understands this reality deeply. By sinking the Christmas cargo, Ukraine did not just destroy ships. It disrupted plans, exposed vulnerabilities, and forced Russia to rethink how it moves and protects its lifelines. Every future shipment would now carry an extra burden of fear and uncertainty, and that, perhaps, was the most powerful outcome of all. As winter continued, both sides adjusted. Russia tightened security. Ukraine sharpened its intelligence tools even further. The chess match went on, move by move, far from public view. But one thing was clear. Somewhere beneath cold, dark waters lies the wreckage of a shipment that was supposed to change the balance of the winter campaign. Instead, it became a warning that Ukraine is watching, a warning that no cargo is invisible, and a warning that even under the cover of holidays, war does not sleep. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like the video, share it with others who want to understand the deeper layers of this conflict, and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth analysis. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay informed.